It's 45 degrees, 46-ish, depending on what my Jeep thermometer says. There's Touche and Pert, and Annie, Secret, and Thor. The alpacas and Charles, Cece, Marty, and Yakota. So apparently I learned if my video's over like 15 minutes long, it has to be submitted for approval and all that stuff. And I've got to figure out how to do that. I think it won't let me do it on my phone. I might have to go on my little laptop or a tablet. But, quick run through. Touche, Spanish Mustang. He was a rescue. He was abused as a stud. Pert, Pacifino, Pertenaz de la Amistad, and I think it means persistent friendship. Annie, Marty's half-sister, she lost her tail in a pasture accident of some kind, don't know, just a vertebrae was broken. Next thing we know it, the bottom portion of the tail died, and it had to be amputated, so now she makes the Budweiser horses go, woohoo! And she's half Egyptian, Polish, just like Marty. Her daddy is Kimo Sabi, which I guess is a hoity-toity Western horse, but he's short-necked. Then you got Secret, who was trying to climb into the bale like a dirt-to-dur. He's a Tennessee Walker. He's the always so hungry ginger that throws a fit. And that is Thor. He is Cece, Black Mare's son. There's my mom. She's been working with her skids here today, leveling and moving manure out of the studs' pastures. The studs' pasture. Cece, Pacifino, Caballos Perla Negro, which means black pearl, but it's supposed to be negras, and she's a girl. But it's like $18 to change one letter on her paper, so my mom has left it. Thor is Portador de la Jicata Roja, which, picking his barn name also as Thor works because that is the great Thor thunder god's, the red agate is the great thunder god Thor's stone. So his name means bearer of the red agate. Marty, Egyptian Polish cross, with, I think she has a hair Russian, because she does have some height to her compared to most, or something, or, yeah, somewhere. But she has really, really good old-fashioned lines, and part of why she's so smart and such a well-behaved Arab is because of her great-great-grandsires and such, like Basque and Beisha. Dakota, mommy was standardbred, daddy was the Arab. I'd have to look at his papers and see what his daddy was. But when Marty goes bye-bye over the Rainbow Bridge until we meet again, I'm thinking this is the cross that I want to go with. Because he's 23, no arthritis, no signs of it, and he's a really good boy, and he's smart. Touche? Go on, Touche. And Touche is just a nickname. I'm not sure what his full name is. Nor am I 100% sure of age. Thor, I know, I want to say he's 12. Annie, Marty's half-sister, is 3 years younger than Marty. So, there's a quick meet and greet. Not up close and personal, but there you go. And tomorrow, I am going to brush Marty and Dakota's mane and tail and rebraid and or go ahead and braid them. It's a lady Cece. She's a Pacifino. Oh, and they're so fun to ride gated. They're so smooth. And Cece, little old lady, believe it or not, my junior year of high school for high school equestrian teams, she beat a national barrel racing champion off the track, thoroughbred named Sasa. And that mare could run. But yeah, she was national ranked, I do believe, if I remember that year. And she beat her by milliseconds at a meet for high school. But there we go. My mom with her Kubota, my two kiddos are in there. They love riding with Grandma in the skid steer. And here is Via Hero. He's in there eating his food. Hey, Sissy. Hey, Mama. Is that a lady? Is it a lady? And then Sissy. Here, let me see your face. Sissy, let me see your face. Oh, come here. There, I dropped the stick. Happy. Oh, come here. He's a lippy, 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 lippy. Lippy, lippy, lippy. He's a old lady. You're a old lady. Come here. See? This is why she's named Cece. That's her barn name. Oh, that gray. She's only 23. I guess that is kind of getting old for a horse. Yeah, huh, old lady. Is that old lady? Yes, you're old. Big old fuzzy ears. Well, I'll let you go. These guys are about done, and I gotta go to the store and get some tortillas. You want more itchies? You want more itchies? Lippy, 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 lippy. Funny thing, we say lippy, 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 because she'll wiggle that top lip. And we've determined that it's both used for when she's nervous and when she's happy. Yeah, are you a lippy? And it's funny too, especially if she is in a good mood and she's doing it because she's happy. The more you say lippy, 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 the more she wiggles that lip. Huh. Yes. Now, right now, it's just twitchy lip. He's a good girl, huh? He's a good old lady. Nah, Marty. Goofy Mare and Dakota. Alrighty. Well, I have to go home and make food. Oh, yay. No, touche. They're not done yet. You don't get to come and do cleanup. Oh. And back kind of on Sparkle's subject about horses and spaces and stuff and the whole leaders and I don't even know where or how well you can see me. Looking for a leader and being pushy and this and that. Yeah, the horses, unless you act, to some extent, act like a horse, like you communicate to them in a fashion that another horse would, they'll run you right over. Touche didn't have a sense of space, and that was part of his issue with his abuse, was he was scared. He's always, heck, he still has some tense issues, and depending on the situation, he'll like freeze up and he'll shut down, and then without warning, he blows up. And and Dakota even, that's kind of partially how we ended up with him. Him and his owner had a relationship breakdown. He was getting bored, so he would do naughty things on purpose. So he would get out of doing whatever it was he was doing. And it eventually got to the point where he ended up being stalled or just pastured. And part of, he figured out part of why he would get away with that was that his size. Now, this owner's a great person, and she has another pure Arab that's a 16-hand Arab. And I don't know if maybe he's not quite as dominant as Dakota, but either way, his size partially intimidated her, and he knew that. But so he would do naughty things on purpose. Marty's actually, if it weren't for Cece, Marty might actually be further up in the chain as far as alpha mares go. Heck, I think there is only 3 mares. She would be the alpha mare. So if you don't prove whether the horse is a dominant horse or one that's like Touche, who's just standing here waiting for me to turn my back long enough for him to go sneak some grain out of his buddy's bucket. No. They look for, if you don't prove and show that you can be a leader, not necessarily dominant, but a leader, they will either run your butt over and find that other horse they know can be a leader, or they themselves will take the leader status. And Cece still holds that as far as the overall herd, but then the pecking order goes that her son is next in line against everybody for the most part. Now he's good with the mares. He doesn't I mean, he might push them around as far as wanting their grain or food back when he got grain and everybody else got grain. But amongst the geldings, he is definitely top dog next to his mama. And Thor, mind you, was a stud at one point, but because of a certain characteristic that was a wild trait, that if you look in other herds, if you look in wild herds, it's a wild trait that obviously carries over into even their domestic lives. And it wasn't bad, but in the hands of somebody who isn't knowledgeable or understands that trait and how to try to deal with that trait, the horse would just end up being abused. And we didn't want that. His mama is the same way with that wild trait, which is the watcher trait, as I call it, because that's what it is. She might be alpha, but she's also the watcher. She's the one who'll stand guard while everybody else sleeps and watches for anything to go wrong, or if one of the horses is gone for a long, like leaves the property, she gets worried. And not so much now, because now she understands. She knows they're going to come back, but she still gets a little antsy. But her son picked up that same trait, and for the first 2 years we lived on this property, we did not have to trim his feet, because he would pace that fence that the new stud, the Harrow, is in, and we didn't have to trim his feet because he shortened them. He kept them so short that sometimes he would end up making himself ouchy, because he would go make himself that short. All right, Touche, go ahead and go. So, like, I have my stick, and the horses know. I mean, heck, I've done the whole back up, pretend I'm pinning my ears, and squeal like a mare. Make them go away if they get in my bubble. So, there's a little bit of that continuation off of Sparkles about her space and how she was using the corn stalks. Now, Marty, if she pays attention, I don't know if she'll do it. No. Wiggle my finger, and she backs up. That is, like, back again what she was saying about how mamas would teach the babies the levels. The first level of, like, hey, you, which was typically just a face look. You're doing something wrong, and then next thing you know it, she would get into position to strike, and then she'd give a bigger look, move closer to you, and then pow! She strikes you. If you were a bad little colt or filly being naughty. That's how the horse of the phases go. You do, and actually I have learned that doing a longer phase one, which is just the finger wiggling, works. I mean, each horse is different and each scenario is different, but most times I have found that doing the long phase one, especially for some horse you're teaching, to know how to do, example, just the back up by a wiggle of a finger, doing those longer phase ones and then go fast through phase 2, 3, and then 4, which is the wiggling of the whole lead rope. It works, because then they learn, oh, okay, I see the finger wiggling, I better back away. Or with my guys, sometimes even just the voice, and they know they're in the wrong, and they'll quit doing whatever they're not supposed to be doing. So, here we go. I am going to go. They're all done, obviously. Hi, Dakota. He's a Dakota. Yes, he's a big boy. Yeah. Side note, too. His bad habit, he would sit there and rub his head all over you, especially with the bridle on after a class, after you were done in the ring. He was horrible about that. Now I've taught him to use that as a reward. He doesn't do it like he used to. But anyway, ta-ta for now. Oops.